Hello, I'm doing a project rating all of Elton John's studio albums, track by track, each one being marked out of 10. And this leads to an average mark for each album. And I'll be ranking all of the albums in order and all of his tracks in order as well at the end of this project. Today I'm looking at Don't Shoot Me, I'm the Piano Player, Elton John's sixth album, which came out in 1973. Following Honky Chateau and preceding Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. It was a #1 album, the first for Elton in the United Kingdom and a #1 album in the United States. Well, here's the cover of the album showing a nostalgic scene from the 1950s, a couple about to go into the cinema to watch a film called Don't Shoot Me, starring Elton John. The title is based on a quote from Oscar Wilde, who saw a sign in a bar in the United States saying, "Don't shoot the piano player, he's doing his best." Elton later used this quote on a chat show when he met Groucho Marx. Look at the Marx Brothers film poster there in the corner. When we look at the inside sleeve, there's a picture there of Elton as a child, and there's the credits for the album arranged a little bit like a cinema poster. On the other side, we have the lyrics, which is always good to see. And on the back of the album, the couple who were waiting to go in have now got their tickets and are running in to see this main feature. So let's go in as well and see what's on offer on this album. Stay tuned, by the way, because at the end of the video, I will be revealing the chart position, my own chart for this album and how it compares with all the others I reviewed so well. I'll also be revealing the top of the league so far for all Elton songs that I've reviewed. Now, this album had 2 hits, Crocodile Rock and Daniel. We'll look at those in a moment. It's a heavily orchestrated album, but a little bit more restrained perhaps than what's come before. And Davy Johnstone joined the band again on guitar. That's good to see. Elton John referred to this album as celebrating a life-affirming sound. There's a sense of nostalgia with this album. Elton is looking back and paying tribute to some of the acts that have influenced him in the past. And to that degree, we can compare this with his later album, Sleeping with the Past. Elton said the whole record is a total rip-off. Well, I don't agree with that. I think paying tribute is not necessarily a rip-off, and being influenced by is not necessarily copying. Anyway, let's have a look at the first track. So track 1 is Daniel and hardly needs any introduction from me. It was inspired by a Newsweek article about Vietnam veterans returning from the war and experiencing the many difficulties that would have faced them both mentally and physically. It only features Elton John's band, with Elton on electric piano here, delivering a sensitive vocal, but at not too high a range. If you sit down at the piano, this is a very easy song to sing. And I mean that in a very positive way. It's a very comfortable song. It works and it flows, and it's got beautiful lyrics from Bernie Taupin. It's familiar, yes. It's a tight setting. The melody and the lyrics work really strongly together, and I'd say it's just about close to the perfect pop song. It's one of those sort of standards, along with Your Song perhaps, and maybe one other I'm going to mention later on, which you can see still being performed in 50 years' time. What a legacy this is, a popular and easy song to sing. So this one has been covered a couple of times on Elton's own tribute CDs. Firstly, on Two Rooms, it's covered by somebody called Wilson Phillips, and on Revamp, it's covered by Sam Smith. But you can't really beat the original track here, and we're going to award this one 8 out of 10. And a word about the ratings. Remember, we've got Your Song way up there, we've got Passengers way down there. That's the kind of scale we've got. So 9 and 10 Your Song, 0 and 1 Passengers. Track 2, well, I'm sitting in the classroom trying to look intelligent in case the teacher looks at me. This is Teacher, I Need You, apparently an Elton John tribute to Bobby V. It's got clever, simple lyrics about a student having a crush on his teacher, and who hasn't had one of those? It evokes the school days of the 1950s. Elton saying he was inspired perhaps by the song Take Good Care of My Baby. It's got beautiful harmonies on this. The second line of the verse introduces an extra vocal over the top, and the chorus is absolutely delicious, actually. And it's one of my very favourite Elton John songs. The piano reminds us a little bit of Jerry Lee Lewis. And it really captures that 1950s atmosphere there. It's not a serious song. It's not going to change the world, except it's going to make people feel a little bit better. So this one we award a comfortable 8 out of 10. Track 3 on the album is Elderberry Wine, which appeared as the B-side to Crocodile Rock. It's about a man looking back on his carefree days, happier times, when he'd be celebrating and drinking wine with his wife. Although it's a downbeat lyric, it's an upbeat song. It goes at quite a pace. It's a good rocker. It's entirely unmemorable. And despite the presence of the brass on there to drive it along, we'd have to see this as a bit of an album filler and possibly the weakest track on the album. So this one just gets 3 out of 10. Track 4 is called Blues for Baby and Me. And my question for you here is, can a slow track not be dull? Well, yes, a slow track can be most interesting and most compelling. What we have here is a story of a young couple hopping on a Greyhound bus to escape their troubles. There's a great spare vocal given here by Elton, plus some improvisation on the melody on the last verse, which is really effective. Listen to these lyrics. I'm gonna go west to the sea. The Greyhound is swaying and the radio's playing blues for my baby and me. This is a really good combination of a quality lyric that tells a story with a really compelling melody and arrangement. It's full of hope, a new start in life. There's some sitar on there, provided by Davy Johnston, giving it a slightly mystical feel. The whole thing doesn't seem forced or unnatural. It's a really smooth, flowing pop song, pleasant to listen to, really strong vocal. Elton's voice is sounding really good on this one. So a good hook and a really good quality song this. Look at what's happening on this side 1 so far. 8, 8, 3, but then another 8 out of 10. Midnight Creeper is track number 5 and closes the first side of Vinyl. This has a brassy opening and a clean, confident rock voice coming in from Elton. The guitars really crank up and there's a decent guitar solo in the middle section. A slightly creepy feel to the lyrics of this, about a two-timer who locks up women. It has a kind of 1950s style rhythm. It's brisk and entertaining. Interesting lyrics. Where there's a nightmare, I'm there. That's a neat little internal rhyme there from Bernie Taupin. I find this one a shallow track. Not much to it, but it's not a skip over track. I'd still listen to it. What does it bring to the party? How does it improve the album? Well, it's a bit of a toe tapper sort of thing you can wind down the window to in your car and listen to pretty loud in the summer perhaps. So it's a reasonable track without being top drawer. We're going to give this one 5 out of 10. Let's just review that first side then. 8, 8, 3, 8 and 5 gives us a total of 32. That's a pretty good quality side of vinyl. Anything over 30 is going to take a lot of re-listening. Side 2 opens with another barnstorming track from Elton. It's Have Mercy on the Criminal. This is another one of Bernie Taupin's story songs. It's about somebody on the run from the law. Possibly we could compare this with something like Burn Down the Mission from Tumbleweed Connection. Or is it another revisiting of the Rotten Peaches theme from Madman Across the Water? The wardens are hunting their escaped prisoner, and they've got some dogs with them as well. Listen to these lyrics. Stumbling through the devil dark with the hound pack in full cry. There's a great powerful vocal from Elton on this, really doing justice to these strong dramatic lyrics. An impressive guitar riff and harmonies throughout. Again, it packs a punch when it comes in for that final refrain. Boy, do you really have to sit up and listen to this. Overall, it's a compelling package, and it's perfectly presented as well. A really good start to side 2 of this album. We're giving this 8 out of 10 as well. Now, somebody wrote into me and said, I hope you're going to give a good grade to Teenage Idol. Well, that's track number 7 on this album. I'm going to Be a Teenage Idol, which was inspired by the success of Mark Bolan and T-Rex. Mark Bolan was a friend of Elton John's at the time. We could describe it as a jaunty tribute to a young rocker who becomes really famous really quickly. It's a pleasant track to listen to. There's a good brass accompaniment to it. I particularly like the way that the chorus softens, actually, after quite an upbeat verse. The chorus is a very pleasant comparison to that verse, and it becomes like a sweet jukebox melody with some very enjoyable backing vocals. So I do like this track. It's not in the same class perhaps as Blues for Baby and Me, but we're going to award this one 6 out of 10. Track number 8 on the album is Texan Love Song. This is an ironic send-up of American rednecks, expressing all this vitriol about long-haired rock and rollers. In England, we might call them Little Englanders, who are yearning perhaps for a time that never really existed. One of the quotes from the lyrics, "You long hairs are sure gonna die." And yet it's delivered in a very fun country bluegrass style, with Elton using his American southern sounding voice. He plays the reed organ on this. It's a very pleasant pastiche of the bluegrass style, an ironic song, and we enjoy those sometimes, and it's a good contrast to what's on the rest of the album. So we give this one 6 marks out of 10. Track 9 is Crocodile Rock. What do we need to say about this? Well, this is a jukebox tune, isn't it? Instantly recognisable from its introduction. It speaks of nostalgia for that rock and roll era. It was Elton's first million-selling single, and Elton has said it's all about the things I grew up with. A tribute perhaps to the Beach Boys, to Neil Sedaka, and it makes use slightly of that Pat Boone refrain from Speedy Gonzales. It's this homage to 1950s music. It's fun. We almost know those lyrics off by heart now. Elton's sung it so many times. It's a crowd pleaser. It's one of his landmark tracks, and we're going to give this one 8 out of 10. The album closes with High Flying Bird. Elton has said that he was experimenting with his voice at the time, possibly going for a kind of early Van Morrison type of vocal. This track starts with a humming introduction which sets just the right tone. The piano sounds really good on this. It's really clean. It's a grand piano sound, and compares much more favourably than with the kind of tinny piano we see on some of Elton's later recordings. It's a sombre, serious end to the album. It's about the end of a troubled young woman. A romance has ended, and Bernie says, "I thought myself her keeper. She thought I meant her harm." These are affecting lyrics. The musical setting is just right for them as well. The whole band is effective on here. The drums are just right. And there's kind of a ghostly, atmospheric backing vocal on this as well. I thought about possibly giving this one 8 as a closer. It's not quite as good as those other tracks, but we're still going to give this one 7 out of 10. Let's have a look at that second side of vocal then. 8, 6, 6, 8, 7 gives us a total of 35 marks. I think that's my best total so far of all the albums I've been reviewing of a side of vinyl. Overall, the album scored 67 marks for 10 tracks, giving us an average of 6.7. And if you stay tuned to the end of the video, you'll see how that compares with the other albums that I've reviewed so far. Now, if you have the CD version of this album, you get 4 bonus tracks, which is really good value. The first of those is called Screw You brackets Young Man Blues. This was the B-side of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. This is one of those rarities that us devoted Elton fans like to collect. It's very much a B-side though, and you can hear it on the Rare Masters collection as well. It's about somebody who's fed up with their domestic arrangements. They're fed up of arguments and criticism of perhaps when they were at school as well. There's good piano on this. There's a driving beat. It's a simple rocker. The middle 8 is quite effective, as are the backing vocals. There's a decent sax break on it as well. It sounds a little bit like the Captain Fantastic song Bitter Fingers to me. But it overstays its welcome, a little bit too much. As a B-side, it's okay. We're going to give this one 3 marks out of 10. The next track, Jack Rabbit, was one of the tracks on the B-side of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. This again is on Rare Masters. It's got a country and western feel. You can imagine somebody picking and grinning, sitting out on the porch, singing about the good old country life in an American voice. It's a bit of whimsy about chasing a rabbit, possibly an extended metaphor here. It's fun, it's inoffensive, but really, what is the point once you've heard it once? Maybe Dolly Parton could do a good cover version of this one. It's also extremely short. We're going to give this one 2 marks out of 10. So the other track on the B-side of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting was Whenever You're Ready, brackets Will Go Steady Again. A lot of brackets on this CD, actually. This is a barroom rocker. The piano sounds fantastic on this one. It's about a relationship. It would be very good to hear this in a live performance, I think. It's enjoyable, it's fun, it hangs together well. The musicians seem to be enjoying themselves. Nothing particularly deep about it, but it's still a reasonable recording, and it's good to have it included on this CD. So we give this one 5 marks out of 10. The CD closes with Skyline Pigeon, a piano version of this, which originally appeared on the Empty Sky album with Elton playing the harpsichord. He recorded a new version of it at the Chateau in France, and this became the B-side of Daniel. It's got orchestral backing, and Bernie Taupin has described this as the first really good song he and Elton wrote together. He said it's a landmark, and who would disagree with that? Elton sang this song at the funeral of Ryan White, and this moment has been seen as a turning point in how he thought about his own life and his own role in the world. And he certainly changed and has offered us so much quality music since then, and so much from him as an individual as well in trying to make the world a better place. So this has got orchestral backing. It's got superb piano playing on this, and the piano itself sounds absolutely brilliant. For me, this is a totally class song and a beautiful vocal as well. I sat down to play this on the piano this morning, and it's so easy to play. I won't inflict that recording on you, but it's just a beautiful song to sit down and play and to sing. There's a powerful lyric. There's a strong metaphor about seeking freedom. There's a spine-chilling entrance of the oboe in the background here. To me, this is just sheer genius, and one of the songs that Elton will be remembered for a long time into the future. Why this wasn't a bigger hit, I don't know. I'm going to award this, after 7 or 8 albums, I'm going to award this my very, very first 10 out of 10. Skyline Pigeon. So let's have a look at the top of my league table now, and Skyline Pigeon has emerged as the top track so far. Quite a few there on 9 marks out of 10, and we're starting to get an idea of Elton John's top 20 or 30 so songs, which I will be further rating and breaking down at a later stage so I can do my top 100 counting down. And then at the bottom of the league, well, we've still got those 3 tracks, Tower of Babel, I Am Your Robot and Heart in the Right Place, with just 1 out of 10. But this album does contribute the Jack Rabbit song, 2 out of 10. But of course, it wasn't actually on the vinyl. So let's have a look at the album rankings, and I've looked at 8 albums so far, and as you can see, Don't Shoot Me has emerged as the leader so far with 6.7 per track, narrowly ahead of Madman Across the Water, and they've opened up a bit of a lead over Blue Moves and The Fox. So this was a great time for Elton, wasn't it? Those early 70s, the sort of albums he was producing at the time. Well, that's it, friends. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear about more of my videos ranking Elton John's studio albums. I welcome your comments, and please feel free to disagree with me and to tell me about your top and worst tracks from this album. And I'll see you on the next recording. And don't forget, we're still standing.